Hey everyone, welcome to our top 10 list of the best video games of the 90s. The 90s were a golden era for video games, and we've got a list of some of the most iconic games that defined the decade. Let's dive in. Number 10, Super Mario 64, 1996. Super Mario 64 was a revolutionary game that set the standard for 3D platformers. It introduced players to a whole new world of immersive gameplay and challenged them to collect stars and rescue Princess Peach. The game has become an all-time classic and is still enjoyed by gamers today. Number 9, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1992. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is widely regarded as one of the best platformers of all time. The game was fast, fun and featured a memorable soundtrack. It introduced Tails, Sonic's trusty sidekick, and challenged players to defeat Dr. Robotnik across different zones. Number 8, GoldenEye 007, 1997. GoldenEye 007 was one of the most iconic first-person shooters of the 90s. It allowed players to step into the shoes of James Bond and complete a variety of missions, all while using an arsenal of gadgets and weapons. The game's multiplayer mode was also incredibly popular. Number 7, Final Fantasy VII, 1997. Final Fantasy VII was a groundbreaking RPG that featured a deep, emotional storyline and memorable characters. The game introduced players to the world of Gaia, where they battled against the evil Shinra Corporation and its sinister plans. Number 6, Street Fighter II, 1991. Street Fighter II was the fighting game that defined the 90s. It introduced players to iconic characters like Ryu and Chun-Li, and challenged them to master complex combos and special moves. The game's multiplayer mode was also incredibly popular, and it spawned a whole generation of fighting games. Number 5, Crash Bandicoot, 1996. Crash Bandicoot was one of the most iconic platformers of the 90s. It introduced players to the world of Insanity Island, where they guided Crash on his mission to stop the evil Dr. Neo-Cortex. The game was challenging, fun and featured a memorable soundtrack. Number 4, Super Metroid, 1994. Super Metroid was a classic 2D platformer that featured a vast, interconnected world to explore. It challenged players to collect power-ups, solve puzzles and battle against a variety of alien creatures. The game was praised for its non-linear gameplay and immersive world. Number 3, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, 1998. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time was a masterpiece that set the standard for 3D adventure games. It introduced players to the vast world of Hyrule, where they battled against the evil Ganondorf and collected mystical artifacts. The game's immersive world and memorable soundtrack still resonate with gamers today. Number 2, Half-Life, 1998. Half-Life was a revolutionary first-person shooter that featured a rich, immersive storyline and memorable characters. The game challenged players to battle against alien creatures and government forces, all while exploring the Black Mesa research facility. The game's groundbreaking gameplay and storytelling have cemented it as one of the best games of all time. Number 1, Doom, 1993. Doom was a genre-defining first-person shooter that paved the way for modern shooters. It challenged players to battle against a horde of demonic creatures and explore a variety of levels. The game's intense action and memorable soundtrack made it an instant classic, and it continues to influence game development today. So, that's our top 10 list of the best video games of the 90s. These games defined a generation of gaming, and many of them are still enjoyed by gamers today. Whether you're a fan of platformers, RPGs or first-person shooters, there's something on this list for everyone. Thanks for watching our video. Let us know in the comments which 90s video games are your favorites. And be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you next time.